The Star Wars movies have captured the hearts and imaginations of fans across multiple generations, and given us a galaxy of adventures to explore. As someone born in the 90s, the prequel trilogy of movies was the Star Wars of my time, and you'd be right to assume that I thought the pod racing scene from The Phantom Menace was impressive. Most impressive. Star Wars is no stranger to having video games, like those that recreate and expand on iconic moments from the movies, including a few all about pod racing, which started with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer by LucasArts in 1999. Taking the unique mechanics and style of pod racing, including every racer featured in the movie, and having them race across multiple planets sounds like a perfect idea for a racing game. And in short, it was an idea executed so well that it continues to hold up to this day. So with introductions out of the way, this is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, an authentic pod racing experience.
It's the little human boy, born on Tatooine, Anakin Skywalker. Well, let's hope he can just finish the race.
Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is all about piloting hyper-fast pod racers across a galaxy of race courses. While actual pod racing may be very fast and very dangerous, this game's controls are quite simple, and allow any human to race without having to use the Force. You'll be able to hold down the accelerator and rely on standard steering throughout most of the race, but for more involved sections of the track, hitting the air brakes, sliding, and even tilting your pod racer sideways to fit through narrow gaps will be necessary. There's even a bit of mid-air control by holding up or down on the joystick to fly further or land quicker depending on the situation. Additionally, holding up with the joystick when you reach max speed, quickly letting off the gas, and then holding down the gas again will give you a speed boost for as long as your engines can hold out before catching on fire. As Episode 1 demonstrated quite convincingly, racing at such high speeds makes pod racers very susceptible to wrecks if they hit anything, especially any large walls or obstacles, as you will be made painfully aware of if you're not careful. For less severe collisions that cause damage to your craft, the repair button temporarily sacrifices some speed to fix any damaged parts to keep you in the race. All in all, the game accurately captures nearly every aspect that goes into piloting a pod racer, and depending on what version of the game you're playing, that even includes their two-handed control scheme. The Nintendo 64 game has a cheat code that allows for the use of two controllers at the same time, and moving the analog sticks up and down operate the thrusters, just like the movie. With such faithful gameplay, I can't help but say, now this is pod racing, every time I hop in the cockpit. While our first look at pod racing took place on Tatooine, they have pod racing on Malastare, plus a whole solar system's worth of planets that you get to speed through, with a total of 25 tracks. This includes a near-identical recreation of the Boonta Eve classic course from the movie, the dusty red spice mines of Mont Gaza, the underwater tunnels of Aqualaris, or the moon of Uvo 4 in the middle of an asteroid belt. Before every race, there's a brief intro cutscene describing the planet and its history with pod racing. Nice bits of world building to teach you a little something new about the Star Wars galaxy. Each track is wide and long enough to let you enjoy the high speeds pod racers are capable of, but also have plenty of challenging sectors that test your piloting skills. No pod race would be dangerous without track hazards, of which there are many on every planet. Whether you're weaving through giant rock structures, narrow canyon openings, or giant vehicles, clearing massive jumps through sky-high structures, or dodging asteroids while it's in low gravity, no finish line comes easily. While tracks that take place on the same planet share some sections, they're often followed by completely new routes, so don't let the brief moments of familiarity catch you off guard. By the time you've made your way through every track, it'll have felt like one of the fastest tours across the stars you've ever played. Star Wars is host to an ever-increasing universe of characters and creatures that live on its equally infinite number of worlds, and you get to play as some of those out there who love to race. Every racer and pod that was present in the movie is playable in Episode 1 Racer, which of course includes the two headliners, Anakin Skywalker and Sebulba, other notables like Ben Quaternaros and Clegg Holdfast, plus a few more that were conceptualized but cut from the film, with 23 available once they're all unlocked, plus 2 more via cheat codes that replace character slots. Equally varied are the pod racer designs for every character, also faithfully recreated for this game, giant turbines and energy binders and all. What I enjoy about any Star Wars media is that they're often how I learn what a lot of the character and craft names are. While researching for this video, apparently most Podracers are stock models that can be purchased, so they have official names like Aldarbedo's Mark IV Flat Twin Turbojet. Each pod has their own balance of stats that give them different racing feels and advantages, but you can buy upgrade parts to improve performance in every category. More on that later. Whether you want to live vicariously through young Skywalker like I have ever since I was a kid, or try out a new face that you didn't know about until they are featured in this game, you've got plenty of options for going fast in a pod racer. It shouldn't be a surprise that LucasArts of all developers could successfully adapt the looks and sounds of Star Wars in a game like this, but the praise is still well deserved, as they're equally as integral to capturing the feel of a Star Wars game just as much as the gameplay. Having the game start with the iconic title crawl already makes for a great first impression. Everything about the visuals has enough polygons and quality textures to resemble what the movie looked like, especially on Tatooine and all the character and pod racer models, or match the film style for the areas new to this game. The way the pod racers animate, as the weight of the turbines and pods shift and twist while taking turns gives them that extra bit of authenticity. Although nothing may look super detailed, it's in service to the game running as smoothly as possible. While the Nintendo 64 version was solid enough on the frame rate end, and I didn't mind it as the version I played growing up, it was a completely new experience when I tried the Nintendo Switch version, based off the original PC release, and was blown away to see the game run at a silky smooth 60 frames per second, where everything felt faster than ever. Maybe it's because I enjoyed watching the pod race scene, but this is one of those games where I could look at it for hours and still be captivated by it. Had to snap myself out of it and make sure I was paying attention. The music is another no-brainer. It's all direct rips of the John Williams score from Episode 1, so of course it all sounds great and fits like a glove. I obviously can't play any of it here, so I hope the renditions from the game Battlefront and Boo I used instead will suffice. The use of music in the remaster did catch me by surprise when compared to the N64 game though. In my prior experience, races were mostly silent, and music didn't play until the final lap, much like how the movie scene played out. So having music throughout the entire race was different, but I think I prefer it this way. With how long some of the races can be, sometimes upwards of 2 minutes per lap, having some exciting orchestral music in the background helps keep me engaged and encouraged to go as fast as possible. Another touch that can be hit or miss with game adaptations is the inclusion of actors from the movies reprising their roles, which thankfully happened for this game, with faithful performances for Anakin, Sebulba, Watto, and the color commentators Fode and Bede.
I can run faster than your pod racer.
The remaining characters all have one-liners in various Galactic dialects that I'm sure mean something. Oh yeah, can't forget about that one announced line whenever you set a new lap record.
It's a new lap record!
The only thing that appears to be missing is the use of movie-accurate pod racer sound effects for the turbines. The ones here are fine and sell the sense of speed, but there's nothing like those distinctive, choppy jet engine-like noises when it comes to getting a pod racer to sound right, if you get what I'm saying. The crux of Episode 1 Racer lies in the main tournament mode, where you'll work your way through the Galactic Pod Racing circuit, seeking the title of the fastest pod racer in the galaxy. This is how you'll not only race on every track in the game, but also how to knock the other racers. While you should be able to clear the amateur circuit going from one race to the next right out the gate, the increased difficulty of the tracks and opponent speeds on the semi-pro and galactic circuits are going to require more than solid racing skills. For every race you win or place in the top 3, you'll win prize money to purchase upgrade parts. There's a few strategies going into earning and spending your winnings that you want to be aware of. The first is that when deciding on how the payout is split for each race, you always want to select the winner-take-all option to get the maximum amount of money through a tournament run, which of course means you have to win every race to get anything to show for it. If you're at risk of coming in second or lower, restart the race instead of finishing, otherwise you lose the opportunity to earn money for that race. The efforts are well rewarded, as you'll be able to afford expensive parts much quicker, and even the playing field in harder races. The price tag of parts can also be discounted depending on the value of the parts you're currently using and trading in. You'll also want to purchase pit droids at your earliest convenience as well. The performance of your parts decreases after every race, and droids fix your parts over time to keep them running well. Another tip is to purchase cheaper used parts from the junkyard, as purchasing and racing with them for a bit will also have them repaired by your pit droids, and can be sold later as another method of knocking down the price of expensive new parts. You'll immediately notice the difference improved parts make, both in how much faster and responsive your pod racer becomes, and how much easier you make your way up the field into first place. I didn't know a whole lot about the importance of upgrading when I was younger, so tracks like Gravine Gateway and Fire Mountain Rally gave me a lot of trouble. But this time, after getting the best parts available before every race, and maybe this was combined with me being much better at playing games overall, won those races, plus most of the rest on my first try with no problems. Winning tournament races the first time around will also unlock new racers, and it was always a pleasure to see the pit droid guiding in a new addition to the roster, so if your current character isn't to your liking, you can always pick someone else and upgrade them instead. After 20 intense tournament races, it's time for the final showdown on the Boonta Eve Classic with Sebulba, and if you've been diligently improving your racing skills and Podracer, no one will be able to say he always wins anymore. As you complete each tournament circuit, one additional race in the Invitational circuit is also unlocked, with the fourth and final track made available once you've completed the first three, each providing the biggest challenges the game has to offer, a task that truly separates the legends from the champions. As tournament races under the winner-take-all rule can prevent you from winning any money if you don't win after your first attempt, the free play and time attack modes are great places to practice with every pod and track currently available to you before you take on the competition. And finally, you can also challenge your friend to a duel if they're also down for some true pod racing action. While movie tie-in games have had a history of often not living up to their potential, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a shining exception to that fate, and a novel anti-grav racer. Pod racing has been featured in other Star Wars games, but I feel there's this unparalleled blend of gameplay and atmosphere in Episode 1 Racer that is yet to be surpassed, and continues to be the perfect way to revisit a galaxy far, far away in the fast lane. As always, this has been fun, and I'm already looking forward to covering another amazing racing game. So I hope you'll check out what I've got in store for next time, and thank you for watching.
The fastest pod racer in the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker!